The 7 levels of calisthenics training, a very interesting video that I'll be reviewing today to just figure out what exactly are the different levels regarding calisthenics training. So by the end of this video, hopefully, I want to know what level I fall under, and perhaps you'll know what level you fall under too. So let me stop yapping and let's get right into this video.
Level 1 is going to be your foundation, the foundation of everything you do in calisthenics. Some people call it basics. That's going to be your pull-ups. This is where you're going to be shooting to get 10 clean, strict form pull-ups. And then eventually you're going to start messing around with different variations of pull-ups, like narrow grip pull-ups, wide grip pull-ups. Next is going to be push-ups, standard calisthenics exercise. Everyone does them. You're going to be shooting for 20 clean form, full range of motion push-ups. And obviously you'll be experimenting with different variations of push-ups like narrow grip, wide grip, explosive push-ups eventually. Next is going to be your body weight rows. Some people like to call them Australian pull-ups. You're going to be shooting for 20 clean reps of those all the way up, all the way down. And you can mess around and mix up the variations with these two. Next up is going to be your dips. Huge exercise in calisthenics. It's going to carry over to so many skills you're going to do in the future. We're going to be shooting for 10 to 15 clean dips all the way up, all the way down.
Okay, so I want to mention that the original creator, Nikki, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, he says that this is specific to the strength regarding to skill training. So pretty much how far one can take their training with their pure body weight in regards to, skill movements. So that said, level 1 is going to be the pure basic beginner strength that one needs to just establish their foundations. And he gives very great benchmark, like strength benchmark numbers to hit for, such as the pull-ups by getting 10 reps, the push-ups getting 20 reps, and then getting 20 reps for the inverted rows and 10 to 15 reps on the dips. He also goes about how this is the stage where one plays around with different variations of those standard beginner movements. Whether you're doing wide grip pull-ups, explosive push-ups, it's still pretty much under the bucket of level 1. And I just want to personally say that this is the most common strength standard of calisthenics that one would see on Instagram carousel posts. It's just a bunch of level 1 base movements, but with different variations, which honestly for me gets very cringe, because when you say you train calisthenics, people associate those movements with what you do. And I don't blame them, since that's pretty much all they see, but there's so much more to calisthenics than just those level 1 based exercises. But let's continue to see what the rest of level 1 entails.
The most important level 1 foundation exercise for your core is going to be the hollow body hold. I cannot stress enough the importance of this exercise. It is used in almost all the isometric, like leverage based skills that you do in calisthenics. It's used for handstands, planches, front levers, back levers, and it's just a fantastic way to build a strong, solid core and have a good control and understanding of your core muscles. Please do not sleep on your level 1 drills. They are literally the foundation of your whole practice of calisthenics. You're going to be doing them before you get to the more advanced skills, and you're going to do them throughout your calisthenics journey. No matter how far you get, you're always going to do basics, because they keep you strong and ready for everything that we do in this sport. This is where we get to level 2.
Now, before we go on to level 2, I do want to mention and call out the importance of training the hollow body position. As he mentions, it carries on over to your later half of your training, whether you're trying to train for the front lever, the back lever, the planche, the handstand and handstand push-ups. This necessitates the establishment of perfecting that hollow body strength and just overall body position. Like literally, a strong hollow body position can make a banana handstand turn into a perfect handstand. Additionally, it's also something that is necessary when doing bicep chin-ups or even the weighted chin-ups. And you can even progress this further by doing dragonflies to increase the intensity when maintaining a hollow body position. Something that I honestly need to reintroduce into my training for my planche and front lever work. But with that said, let's see what level 2 is about.
Level 2. At this point, you are training calisthenics. You're no longer the average gym goer. This is where you're going to unlock the muscle up, the ollie of calisthenics. A huge milestone for people who are dedicated and training calisthenics. I remember particularly for me, it was the skill that took me the longest to learn at the beginning, but when I got it, it just made me fall in love with the practice of calisthenics. It really taught me a lot about myself and just the ability of setting a goal and going for it and failing and continuing and eventually getting it. And it really helped me grow as a person. That skill has a special place in my heart. And that is the skill you will unlock in level 2. Additionally, you're gonna unlock handstands, a huge, huge staple in calisthenics, a big milestone for people as well. The beauty of handstands is it's gonna introduce a whole new layer to your practice of calisthenics, the layer of balance.
Now, to be honest, I had a strong feeling that he was going to mention the muscle ups and handstands in this particular level, because I will say these movements definitely did inspire me to get started with my calisthenics journey, more particularly to the handstand. Just because I saw people doing handstand push-ups and I was like, all right, if I need to learn the handstand push-up, I gotta unlock the handstand, right? But the muscle up, on my personal experience, like I'm not really that big of a fan of it. I don't really train it myself even now. I kind of just unlocked it and forgot about it. Every now and then I kind of just rep out a couple muscle ups to failure, but it doesn't impress me that much. But that's just for me personally. But back to the handstand. This was a very personal journey that I had to like literally take so much time into it. It was the most frustrating skill to learn starting off, because it was so different whenever you're coming from like, that weightlifting style of training that, curls, presses and whatnot. You never really had the sense of training balance. And I think the handstand really gave me a better understanding of how to train for balance. And I think that's why it left a bigger mark or impression on me in regards to the skill, because I've never done anything to that regards. I never had a chance to even test my balance, right? And also before going to calisthenics, I never really considered the handstand to be something that I even wanted to do. I never took it as a strength demanding exercise. I never took it as something that can be built upon that. So yeah, it's just a culmination of a lot of great things. And I think that's why it left a huge impression on me and why I wanted to start calisthenics.
Cannot do if you don't learn a handstand. Next up is gonna be the L-sit. Great core exercise. It's also gonna develop really strong triceps. And it's a great skill that's gonna carry over in the future when you do P-bar flows or combinations on the P-bars, where you can go to and from L-sits, or you can transition from L-sits to handstand. Finally, in level 2, you are gonna be adding weights to your level 1 basic drills. So that's where you'll start doing weighted dips, weighted pull-ups, and really strengthening your foundation.
So now we're starting to introduce weighted calisthenics, something that I am heavily doing and known for. And I would definitely agree that this is a perfect spot to place weighted calisthenics, because technically anyone can add weights to their bodyweight movements. But does that really mean it's the most proficient way of going about things? For example, if you could do like 5 pull-ups max reps with just pure body weight, does that mean you should start adding weights? Not necessarily, because you're just not going to have the same level of strength as someone who can rep out anywhere between 10 to 15 reps as his benchmark in terms of like what reps to shoot for on the pull-ups that he mentioned earlier. Someone who has that strength doing 10 to 15 reps, they're going to be able to progress at a much quicker rate at weighted calisthenics. They're going to start doing heavier loads right off the bat. So I think there's a time and place of when you should introduce weighted calisthenics, and this level is a great time to do so. Now, I do want to point out that weighted calisthenics in itself has many layers and many levels, which is something that I'm more invested in. I know Nikki, the original creator, won't go into much detail, but I believe the intention of putting weighted calisthenics in level 2 is signifying that one would start to add weight once they reach this level. Not that weighted calisthenics as a whole is level 2, because like I mentioned, there's layers to weighted calisthenics, which is maybe something that I should make a video about, the strength level of weighted calisthenics. Yeah, I like the sound of that. Also, I do want to mention that level 2 includes the tuck-based levers, such as the tuck front lever, back lever, and also the planche.
Way more rewarding. Level 3, welcome. This is where you're gonna unlock your first handstand push-ups. Huge milestone for people training calisthenics, just a badass skill in general. It's gonna help you develop really strong shoulders, and that's gonna help you a lot as we move forward with the harder and harder skills. Level 3 is also where you're gonna unlock your first full back lever, your first full lever-based skill that you'll be able to bust out. People usually think it's a super impressive skill when they first see it. At this point, you're well on your way training more advanced progressions of your front lever, like the advanced tuck and the one leg, and the same for your planche. You'll probably have an advanced tuck planche, and you'll be working towards more advanced progressions in the future. Level 3 is where you'll start doing a lot more weighted reps, weighted dips, weighted pull-ups, and especially weighted muscle-ups. If you've made it through level 3, congratulations, you are definitely no longer a beginner.
Okay, so a lot of stuff was definitely covered in this particular segment of the clip. And I find it very interesting that he mentions this is the level where one is no longer considered a beginner, which I can honestly agree for most points. But the thing that sticks out to me is that does one need to unlock the handstand push-up to no longer be considered beginner? Because the way that I see it, exercises like the tucked front lever, tuck planche, and then the full back lever are just way less challenging compared to unlocking one's full handstand push-up. I can understand, those set exercises being beginner-based strength categories, but I wouldn't necessarily put that with the handstand push-ups. I would actually say handstand push-ups is something more so intermediate base level, right? So with that being said, I don't want to go too deep into it, but I personally think that the handstand push-ups is more so of an intermediate base level exercise, just because there's more complexity and just different variables that you got to take into account when it comes to learning and unlocking your first handstand push-ups without the wall. That's just the way I see it if we're taking into account the other skills that he mentioned in that same beginner-based category.
Welcome to level 4. This is where you're going to unlock the famous straddle planche. This is a huge milestone for everyone training calisthenics. I remember for me, when I unlocked this skill, I was so stoked. I could not stop doing it to the point where I was overtraining it, just trying to show everyone around me, look at me, I could levitate on my arms. Good job. Additionally, this is where you're going to unlock your first full front lever, which is huge, especially when it comes to pulling skills. A full front lever is going to allow you to get way stronger at pulling, and it's going to introduce a lot of more difficult pulling elements. In level 4 is also where you're going to unlock your first 90-degree handstand push-up, which is the top of the pyramid when it comes to handstand push-up exercises. Super impressive skill. People love to see it. This is also where you will most likely unlock your first one-arm pull-up, a skill that is universally respected amongst calisthenics athletes, gymnasts, climbers. You bust out a nice one-arm pull-up, and people are gonna love it.
Okay. I think this is the level that actually makes so much sense. I believe all the movements have been categorized in relation to these said skills very fairly. This is actually the stage that I believe I'm currently at right now in terms of my skills, where I'm training on improving my straddle planche and full front lever holds. These have been like a big chunk of my training, especially over the last year. And a big reason for that was that I just completely neglected my planche and front lever training and rather put my focus primarily onto my weighted calisthenics movements and handstand push-ups. That's why for me, I was able to unlock the 90-degree handstand push-ups much earlier because I solely focused on my vertical pressing strength. And also my one-arm pull-ups was unlocked at a much quicker and earlier rate than the straddle planche or front lever, just because I've taken my weighted pull-ups and chin-ups training as the priority, which is something I want to point out. At some point, there's going to be a shift of prioritization when it comes to your calisthenics training. And if I'm going based off these levels, once you reach like level 3 to 4, this is where you begin to lock in on what appeals more to you. For me, it was weighted calisthenics and handstand push-ups. I will say it's much more difficult trying to juggle improving weighted calisthenics strength while doing other demanding pressing movements like the handstand push-ups and planches. Then we have the pulling based movements such as the one-arm pull-ups and front lever. Like there's only so much you can do at one training block, which is why most people either go all in on weighted calisthenics routes and pick like 1 or 2 vertical or horizontal based skills, or go all in on the vertical and horizontal based skills and supplement their training with weighted calisthenics. Which actually reminds me of one of my friends in the calisthenics scene. He took like almost a 1-year full hiatus from doing any weighted calisthenic movements and specifically dedicated that time and energy into like honestly just skill work, and like the full planche, the full front lever. And he actually was able to unlock, a lot of his progress from the front lever and planche within that year, just because he just solely dedicated his time and efforts into skill training. So this is coming from someone who's doing weighted calisthenics and kind of trying to choose 1 or 2 skill training based movements, but he realized he couldn't train as efficiently because it's just too much, right? The body can only do so much. So him doing that specific year of training his skills actually helped him unlock those skills at a much quicker rate. So that's where he kind of branched off. But I don't know if he's going back to weighted calisthenics again. I know he did attempt to test his weighted calisthenics strength. It did take a big dive down, but it kind of goes to show, you know, some people, once they get to a certain level of their calisthenic level training, they kind of specify their goals and training based off what route they want to take, whether it's weighted calisthenics or whether it's like static based training skills.
All right, level 6. At this point, you are elite. This is where you unlock Maltese, airplane mode, the closest feeling you're gonna get to flying. Your full planche is fully leveled up. You probably unlocked all the different variations of full planche, like dragon planche, planche on the rings. You really start experimenting with different variations. So this is where you're gonna get really good at full planche presses. You're probably gonna try going for max presses. Same for full planche push-ups. You're gonna really get an understanding of the movement, and you're gonna start working on combinations like push-up to press, multiple push-ups to multiple presses. This is also where you're gonna introduce Victorians, especially Victorians on the P-bars at the beginning. Extremely, extremely difficult pulling skill. And you've probably developed some crazy strength with your front lever, touch front lever, and different variations of front lever like super wide, supinated. All right, if you've made it through level 6, at this point, I'm pretty sure people who see you training think you're an elite level gymnast or some sort of freak of nature. Good job.
So I gotta say, first of all, man, mad props to the original creator, Nikki, who was able to pull off all these movements. This guy is elite, you know, he's definitely up there, like no cap. Like this is someone who was able to do Maltesers, full front lever for warm-ups, Victorians, front lever pull-ups. Like these are all skills that are actually done by gymnast level athletes, like at an Olympic level, right? Now they probably do this with rings, so it's much more difficult, much more higher level, right? It's Olympic level damn near. But yeah, like bro, I don't think y'all can grasp how much time and effort Nikki has probably put into this game, because I've been training, like I mentioned, the last 5 to 6 years, and I've got to a point where I can barely hold a straddle planche, right? Doing 90-degree handstand push-ups. That it took me half a decade to unlock those. So it's probably gonna take me another couple of years to get to his point, especially with my body weight and my height. You know, me being like 190, me being 5'10". That also plays another role too. But you know, no excuses. My goal is still to be like an elitist based static skill trained athlete. But I just want to kind of point out that with this video, he does mention level 7. It was briefly mentioned, but it's just pretty much just like super crazier skills that, you know, you only see gymnast people doing, to be honest, and like just high level athletes. But I just want to kind of lead it back to the question of like, all right, what level am I on? And I personally think that based off what he mentioned of my pure strength on just the skills, I'm level 4. Okay. I could do handstand push-ups. I can do 90-degree handstand push-ups. I can hold a straddle planche. I can do a full front lever for like just a few seconds. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done on my end to kind of go from level 4 to level 5. But I believe that if I just unlock a stronger straddle planche and unlock a stronger full front lever, that will definitely enable me to bridge that gap to getting to level 5. But I kind of want to pose it back to what I mentioned earlier. Like I took a lot of my training, like my last 5 to 6 years of training, specifically for weighted calisthenics. So I think the levels of where I'm at weighted calisthenics will be probably different from where I'm at in regards to my static skill training. But hey, what do I know? If you want to see more content like this, be sure to follow me, man. I'm the Tough Fitness Scout, yeah, no cap.
Cobra trains. He's up next. Make sure y'all subscribe to him. He's #1 out here.
He's the toughest fitness guy out here.